All right. Good morning, everyone. This is our December last of the year meeting, and it's 11:01. I apologize for the late start. So I'll call the meeting to order and we'll do the pledge of allegiance.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for
all. Roll call. I'm Bruce Ansel.
Kimberly McMurray.
John Crawford.
Scott Trusher.
Joel Nielsen. Jason Vanderveen.
And Matt is excused. He had a family medical issue that he's dealing with. Open the Volunteer Pension Board meeting. We have the November 16th minutes. Is there a motion to approve the minutes?
So moved.
Moved and seconded. Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
It's unanimous. Chief, we have 2 new volunteers, 3 new volunteers?
4. 5. Sorry, 5. I can count.
So that's interesting. Can you?
Yes, we have been working to onboard these folks for some time. This will round up our tender group to 20, a total of 20, where we're going to cap it. One thing that we did do was change that the tender group would not go through the full firefighter physical, but we would accept CDL physicals. So that was the reason for the slowdown.
Okay.
Just a cost-saving measure and more applicable to what they do. So today we have before you 5 new, or 4 new, 1 returning volunteer. Dalton King is returning. Lee Lightfoot, Tanner Jansen, Julie Smith, and Michael Welch have all made application for to join the tender group.
Excellent. So we just need a motion to approve them becoming new volunteers.
Yes, sir.
It's been moved and seconded. Discussion? Questions? Comments? All in favor?
Aye.
It's unanimous. Thank you and welcome to 5 new volunteers. 4 and 1 former. Pension eligibility verification, David Hegberg?
Yeah, something like that.
I believe it's Hegberg.
A claim by his widow.
Yeah.
Was there a fund amount that I missed or?
$4,079.31.
All right. So is there a motion to approve the pension eligibility for David Hegberg? Discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
It's unanimous. Anything else for the Volunteer Pension Board? All right, I will close the Volunteer Pension Board and open a public hearing for our 2024 budget. Members of the public are invited to provide comment. It's specific to the 2024 budget. We won't respond to questions or challenges. Anyone has an opportunity to speak for 5 minutes. Did anyone sign up? Not very popular.
Nope.
All right, hearing and seeing none, I will close the public hearing and open our special regular Board of Commissioners meeting. And we have Budget Resolution 2023-15, 2024 for budget, which this is before us today. So I guess we can start with a motion to either approve or disapprove the budget, and then we can have the chief explain it and talk about it.
So moved.
Thank you.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded. Now, discussion. So we had a presentation in November, and we were 90+% done with that. There'd been some last minute tweaks, so perhaps you can enlighten us on where we are and what's different.
Yes, thank you. The last minute tweaks that you refer to are, it's an accounting of, it's a better accounting of how we spend overtime and where it comes from. And it's a truer, more transparent account of how much overtime we incur in a year. So what we've done in the past is add a bulk sum to operations salaries, and then as well as budget a certain amount every month, essentially, and use those two pockets of money to pay for overtime. And what Benita and I discussed is that, and she feels very strongly that, and I support her, that we need to budget a true accounting of overtime in its own pocket all by itself, so that we're not drawn from multiple accounts. It'll make it easier for the public to see how much we spend in overtime. It'll make it easier for the new finance specialist to take money from the appropriate places. And frankly, it's just cleaner. It's a little bit of a stretch for me to kind of wrap my head around this. Not the transparency part of it, but just how we were going to, it was just a very different way of budgeting. It led to some good discussion. And in the end, what you will see in the operations budget is that next year we are budgeting roughly $1.6 million for overtime. So now that is based on the current wages and the hours worked and our historical, how much overtime we have. One thing I need, it's important to remember that as seniority, we like to have a good mix of senior people and junior people, so there's some good succession planning and all those things. But when you have a large group of very senior people, they have a lot of vacation. They've accrued a lot of vacation, and they've accrued longevity and some of those other things. As North Whatcom grows and ages, and we're a relatively young department, we're really between 15 and 20 years old. As all this bulk of these people that we hired in 2006, 2007, as they mature into that 20-year mark, you're looking at, they have a significant number of vacation hours, and the contract demands that they use it. So this is what overtime costs us. This is what it costs to provide the coverage that we currently, the current level of service. So I had warned you, or I had not warned you, excuse me. I had talked to you before, discussed that we would probably be budgeting in the red this year. And I had predicted, I made a prediction kind of in my documents that I've submitted in November. And after going through everything, line item by line item, I do present to you a balanced budget of $12,319,883, or $883, excuse me. So that's $12,319,883, of which 843,171 will need to be transferred from reserve. So currently in reserve, It's gonna take me a second to get there. I have this paper with me, but I don't. Currently in reserve, we have $5,397,809.
And that is,
That is,
that's not our carryover to April
No, sir.
money. No.
no, sir. That is money that was deposited last year. So before we received our October disbursement, all the October monies, all our tax revenue and everything is still sitting in our expenditure fund. It's in investments and it's expenditure fund. So none of that is what we rely on to get to April.
Okay.
So that is what, it's unencumbered reserves. So it's not in capital, it's just investment cash.
Okay. But understanding all of this and just for comparison right now, if I'm reading this right, through November, our overtime expenditure is $1,393,000. So
Correct.
this huge number we're talking about this year is not much different than what we did last year or the coming year. So for 2024, we're not talking all of a sudden our overtime is way bigger than it used to be.
No, sir.
It's very similar to what
Yep.
it has been.
And I'd like to point out, this is not a result of the labor contract. We're in year 2 of the labor contract, so this is nothing new. This is what I brought to you in the labor contract and you approved that, in order to, we have to pay the market rate for labor, just like everybody else does, or we lose them. And we saw that, we've seen that in the past. We have to balance this. We have to run this fine balance of paying for people and paying for things. And if we abuse or don't take care of either one, we'll lose them both, right? So,
Yeah, no, it just points out how important the upcoming levy lid lift issue is. We can't continue to draw close to $1 million out of reserves every year to operate. And hopefully that message will get extended through our marketing campaign for the levy lid lift. The previous members of administrative staff that have gotten us to this point did everything in their powers to stay within budget. And that's a good thing in one way, right? Because you're within budget, but in reality, it's probably hurt us in the long run because we haven't kept up with inflation and we haven't kept up with labor costs and we haven't kept up with the increasing cost of just running the department and all the unfunded mandates and everything else. So, if the goal was to, hey, here's your balanced budget. And I remember seeing them when I first started here and going back prior to when I was here. And that seemed to be what people hung their hats on. But it really did us a disservice because the public isn't used to saying they have to pay for this. And now, 20 years later, when they haven't ever seen an increase, they're like, whoa, what's going on? How come I have to pay more? So hopefully they'll understand that. Any other questions, comments that people may have about the budget?
I know this was kind of a struggle for everybody to get through, and I'm glad that it's all ironed out. We got to tip our hat to Benita. She's been such a benefit for us over the years, and it's going to be such a big loss and huge shoes to fill with the oncoming person in her role.
Hopefully she'll be available by phone. Anyone else? Nobody's appalled at $800,000. Chief, thank you for doing all the work. I know you kind of got stuck with this in the condition it is now, and that certainly is in no way your fault. I think we're moving in the right direction. I know we're moving in the right direction, and I hope we can continue to manage our funding issues positively in the near future. So, anything else before we? Okay, so there's a motion to approve the 2024 budget as presented. It's been seconded. It's been discussed. All in favor?
Aye.
Unanimous? Thank you, Chief, and all the staff, because it takes everyone's help. All right, we have a consent agenda now that includes the meeting minutes from the November 18th joint work session, the November 16th public hearing, staff reports, the financial reports, and the vouchers. The total revenue for November was $1,172,975.53. And the total expenditures for December, $956,682.68. Direct deposit payroll, $374,891.77. Retro pay voucher, $54,848.31. Payroll taxes, $92,357.61. Benefits voucher, $246,923.43. Monthly expenditure voucher, $106,842.96. Capital projects facilities, $80,818.60. Is there a motion to approve the consent agenda?
So moved.
Moved, Scott, second. Discussion, comments, concerns? All in favor?
Aye.
It's unanimous.
That completes the retro payments. We're done.
Done.
That's it.
There was a chunk last month, right? You can't look anymore. Next item is commissioner meeting reports. Do you have any reports?
Dan and I helped out at the Thanksgiving baskets.
Oh, nice.
It was a lot of fun.
Yeah.
It was a lot of fun. Our firefighters were awesome and met a lot of great people from the community, and
It was a great turnout.
it was.
The pictures were amazing.
It takes a village.
Yeah. Yeah, I somehow missed. Sorry. Fun. Anything going on with the fire commissioners?
No, as far as I know, you guys did what you did. So I wasn't present for that. So if you want to give a short, brief explanation of what, feel free.
So there is a letter in the packet that I sent to Ben Ellenboss. If you,
Was that before the meeting?
yes, that got sent the morning of. In fact, I called him that Tuesday morning. So the council had a was it a regular meeting? Yeah, it was their regular.
Committee. The committee meeting, committee of the whole.
Right.
And council,
The same day though.
same day.
So on that Monday, the commissioners and chiefs met to discuss this proposal by outgoing council member Frazee to do a countywide study, which isn't a bad idea, of I'll put words in her mouth,
Consolidation.
how we're wasting money in the fire service in Whatcom County. Or a look at, are we doing business the best and most economical way we possibly can, with a lot of misinformation gathered on their part in a 224-page document, and a resolution to spend $300,000 to do this study, which again, I'm not opposed to. However, all of the data and all of the conclusions that were drawn were created by an intern working for the council office and never once was revealed to any of the fire chiefs, fire commissioners, fire districts, fire departments. So you had this wonderful chart explaining how confusing our budgets are, and it was full of misinformation.
Countywide. Just
Countywide.
Just not us.
Not us. Every department,
Every
district
district.
in the county had bad information, from chief salaries to income, and it appears, again, my opinion, and it was stated in an open public meeting on their part, that Whatcom County pays for all of BLS service in Whatcom. The county, out of the EMS fund, pays for all of BLS service in Whatcom County, which, as we all know, is not true. And if we go back and do the math, the $2 million that they said we get to do BLS was actually only 192,000, which is only less than 3% of what it costs us to do BLS in our jurisdiction. So we brought that to their attention, and actually, Mr. Ellenboss was supportive, although he tends to vote no on everything anyway. So when he says, yeah, I'm not in favor of this, it's kind of like, well, because of its merit or just because you're always voting no. So, but he did take my phone call on his way home from work in the morning, and I did send him the follow-up email, and he did speak against it. Unfortunately, one council member recused herself for I'm not sure what reason, and the others 5 voted in favor of it. So it was a 5-1 in committee, and it was a 5-1 in council. And there was a great showing of commissioners and chiefs at the meeting, and they just proceeded to do whatever they wanted, being totally partially uninformed. It was I kind of take it as a slap in the face to the fire service, because I mean, these people are no different than us. They do this part-time. They aren't always privy to all the information, and to embark on something like that without even asking the people that provide the service, I think it's a disservice. But so be it. I'll get off my soapbox. Anyway, it will move forward. Who knows how long it'll take? You've got a couple outgoing council members, some new people coming in. You have a county executive that doesn't know for certain how to spend the EMS funds that are collected by the levy. And we'll follow it more closely to make sure that they don't misspend EMS dollars on this study, because it was earmarked as sort of a study of fire service, not EMS. So there might be a small percentage of that, but the majority of the EMS dollars go to ALS service, and probably less than 3% go to BLS. And then we met with Liz Loomis again. We do that via Zoom. The preparation for the levy lid lift is ongoing. Her team is busy crafting messages we're starting to see that have been coming out in the paper. They've been on the radio. They're in our online newsletter. So hopefully this time we're getting the message out better. And we certainly have some more messages coming. Some of it has to do with how we're running in deficit in our budget. Some of it is the condition of our fire stations. Some of it is the condition of our equipment. And so hopefully people will understand and appreciate that. And hopefully the labor group will be actively involved as they were in D4 and help us market this thing for a positive outcome.
Will we do community events like we did for D4?
Yes,
when it comes closer.
yes, absolutely. And we'll be looking for any and all clubs, organizations, neighborhoods that we can do presentations to. I mean, I can see in my neighborhood, we've got Birch Bay Chamber, we've got Simiamu, we've got Birch Bay Village. The library has offered their support. So I think we'll be better at getting the message out this time for two reasons. One, I think Liz Loomis and her company is much more organized and understands how to get the message out. And we're not dealing with COVID, so we can actually meet people. So I think that those two things vote in our favor. All right, local 106.
Thank you. To just piggyback on the levy thing first, our PAC chair is working with the ISF to help with our message. Coincide with limits attached to the emails. Currently, we're doing the active battalion rotation. It's been working pretty well, I think. A lot of good feedback, and hopefully it's given Chief some break to not have to work every day, all day.
Just other things to work on.
Yeah. Going to announce a promotional early June for lieutenants and trained captain and hopefully battalion chiefs, or January, sorry. And then it sounds like we're going to hire about 5 come springtime to fill some vacancies. And also give a huge shout out to Mike Nelson for the Thanksgiving baskets. That he's been doing that for years, and so we see him, thank him for it. So anything else?
Yeah, I forgot to do that. His picture was in the paper, and I know he's been doing it for a long time, and it probably wouldn't run as smoothly as it does without his efforts. And yeah, we certainly do appreciate
Oh, and Mr. Cody Bowen is our new secretary treasurer. So Troy Freeman has done it for years. So if you see him, thank him for his time too. So.
it. Nice, congratulations. Unfinished business, District 4 contract for service extension. We have that in our packet. It's pretty basic. Basically says it can be extended. It will be extended this year, and everything remains the same, with the exception of adding a notice of opt-out being 120 days, if I'm.
And that it's a 1-year extension. Previously, there was no, it didn't say how long it went on. It just went on and on and on. This says it's a 12-month at a time extension with 120-day versus 90-day. So 6-month versus 3-month.
So,
District 21's legal had no issues with it at all.
okay, so Richard Davis and company reviewed it. It was vetted by D4's attorneys. They have signed it on the 11th. And is this a copy in this packet? But the original's in there. Okay. So is there a motion to approve the interlocal agreement for fire and emergency medical services? Second? Any discussion, questions, or comments? Except they passed their levy and they can
Oh, yeah.
afford to pay, so.
Right, sure.
That was the key
Big one,
piece,
yeah.
so. All right, all in favor?
Aye.
It is unanimous. Yay. Okay, Station 63 Phase 1 contract. I don't know if everyone else got the same email I did, but it sounds like that needs to be reviewed by legal.
I'd only sent it to you and Jenny, or I just looped you and Jenny in because it came in so late. I
Right.
got it on Tuesday from Bryce Fergus Miller. It was sent to Richard Davis. He chuckled and said, "Talk to me after." So, because you can see the
Yeah.
volume of this thing is
Right. I don't remember how many total pages it was in itself, but it's a small local phone book. If any of you remember what phone books are. Yeah, and very, very legalese written, and it would be beneficial for me, and I'm sure the rest of the board, to have our attorneys review it. And it sounds like, according to Mr. Davis, this is kind of a boilerplate agreement that they typically make a fair amount of changes to. And so,
Well, I just read from his email. I would not have the board approve this week because normally we make quite a few revisions. I don't expect them to be a deal breaker, but these forms are biased towards architects and we need to revise. So,
all right. I mean, there were a lot of big numbers in that. If you read all the fees for all the different contractors that would be involved, whether it's electrical or structural or site, and they're just like, ching, ching, ching. But I think the last we talked about in phase one is we want to make sure that that site is usable. And so where maybe in the past they would delay some of that geotechnical stuff to phase two, we want it in phase one, because I'd hate to get to phase two and they say, oh, wow, yeah, your soil won't support a new fire station or something like that, which I'm hoping that's not.
yes, and that is exactly the case. I asked them to include some of the geotechnical services and in phase one as opposed to in phase two, so we know we're on the right property, so that if has to be a property search, we can do that early as opposed to discovering it later.
Any questions? I did visit the station after the second last rainstorm. And although there wasn't an active water feature going on, that ceiling area and wall connection, where the EMS supplies are, I guess is that the correct room, is still leaking. It's still wet. I think it's still unfavorable to inhabit. So I'm encouraging us, as I think you said last meeting, is let's get going on 62 and figure out somewhere, maybe rehousing people while we decide what to do next. And I mean, I think it's a true message to the community that we need help. We need help. We need a new station, and Birch Bay is a busy station, and we can't live without it. So,
Well, I wrote all kinds of comments on mine, but one thing that stood out to me is all of the people that sent estimates and letters, from the mechanical engineers and structural engineers and the electricians, nobody's local. Everybody's from Federal Way and Everett and Seattle, and somewhere in here too, it said they can charge us for mileage. And so if you're coming from Federal Way and you're at $250 an hour, just for a number, are you charging us from the time you get in your truck?
yeah.
2 hours up, 2 hours back, plus the mileage, then plus your service fees?
We'll ask. It typically is.
Right, so, and I feel like we could save a lot of money there by having local. We have a lot of local talent in engineering firms, and
I'm sure these are just a list of regulars that they use, and they probably do more business in
Right.
King County and
Right, I
south
get
than
that,
they do
yeah.
up here. But that's a good point, and we should ask. Any other good pearls? Thank you for reading.
I did 27 pages.
Thank you. Sure.
I was a little rummy by the end, but Well, and some things too about, I know from our own building project we had when I worked for my dad, there was a lot of things, like there's things that they said in here about inspections and changes in writing. And do we have our own project manager that's gonna be verifying some of this and all the certificates of insurance? And, because I know Benita's leaving, so can't, and the new person, it's probably a lot to put on their plate when they already are going to have a full plate of learning curve. And I mean, I'm happy to serve on this committee. I'm not a contractor, but I'm a detail person. And because who's verifying all their certificates of insurance and,
Well, ideally, that would be the support services chief, but that's,
right, I mean, and we're in that position too with that right now.
Yeah,
so I did write down to ask Richard Davis, is there a way for us to, a certain percentage of local contractors or something like that, or local firms, must make up some percentage of, Whatcom County firms must make up a certain percentage of the work done.
Yeah, that's a
So-
lot of time, that's a lot of money and travel time and
Right.
I mean, I would
mileage. And-
think there has to be some in the Bellingham area, right?
Right,
I mean, there's a lot of big projects that go on up here.
Right.
I wonder, well, like Ram Construction, I mean, they have a ton of projects where they must have access to different people. Which I know that they are interested in the project. Hoping to one of their safety officers, and he's already talked to their group because he knows that we're thinking about doing this project. They're interested. Anyway, maybe you can pass your highlights on to the chief, and so that when it does go to Mr. Davis, maybe he can address some of those issues.
okay.
Thank you for spending the time on it. Okay, so we're basically at a point of, after the first of the year, our legal will review that with the comments, Commissioner McMurray, and may or may not have a report back at our next meeting in January. Semiahmoo Station 62 upgrade, we saw a scope of work. I did not see a scope of cost. And I think, Chief, you can probably enlighten us as to your discussion with, there's two things that we need to know here is, one, can we do it without going to bid? And two, how much do we think it's gonna cost? I walked through that inspection with the chief and the contractor. It's the same person that has done the remodel at 72. He's well-known in the community. I think the project so far has been nothing but positive at 72 from what I've heard. So I don't have any issue with this person's ability to do the work, but I will turn it over to you, Chief, for what your thoughts are.
So yeah, what we have before you is a statement of work to basically show what the contractor saw as he went through the building, talked with Commissioner Ansel, myself, and we looked through and tried to envision what it would be like if we moved during construction or because of environmental damage at 63, if we moved 63's crew there, and how would that look? He put my name on as the author. Not true. He wrote it, gave it to me. It's everything that he feels we need to get done. What I'm waiting to determine from legal is, can we declare this an emergency? And what does that do to bid law? And can we use mitigation funds? Because it would be an expansion for later, for having truly full-time staff in that station. And then, so that's the piece I'm waiting for there. In talking with Bob, this is completely unofficial. He believes it would be a sub 250K fix. The high level stuff that we're talking about is the back wall and the overhead on that back wall where the patio is, or porch, I guess you'd call it, on the second deck there. The stairs, replacing them with something that's not wood. So the last stair replacement ever. Replacing the bay doors, which have some dry rot and are wooden and are going to wear out those door openers sooner rather than later, as well as upgrading the HVAC to actually giving it AC, and then upgrading the restructuring the carpet, upgrading the lighting to LED, because right now it's fluorescent and it's a little dated. And then appliances in the kitchen and the appropriate amount of fridges that we need to have shifts there and those kind of things. So we walked the perimeter of the building. We talked about him looking for dry rot, and if we have to replace, as opposed to replacing all the siding, we were able to identify some areas of rot just exteriorly and going up, maybe 2 pieces higher than the rot, changing out the sheeting underneath it and replacing it with hardy plank siding, color match. So trying to do it as economical but smart as possible. And we got an all-in bid on that to update it and make it look modern, and it was like 1.5 million, and that's just not where we're at right now. We need to do the things to stop the damage from happening, stop incurring any more damage, and that's in declaring it an emergency. That's where I kind of make 2 stands. One is an emergency because we've got Station 63, which is falling down, or at least leaking, and we need to get the crews out of there. But the second emergency is that we're damaging a public building by not doing any of these repairs. And so it's kind of a twofold thing. What I had spoken with Commissioner Ansel about was asking the board to tentatively approve moving forward with Bob once we determine whether this is an emergency and where those funds could come from. I'll report back to you before we make anything, sign anything, obviously, but just giving Bob Loophole and I the permission to work with legal and move forward on that.
Could Bob start right away once we get approval?
He's like Richard Davis after the holidays. So
I understand.
he wants to wrap up, obviously wrap up 72, which is 98% done.
Mhm.
May actually be done when we get back there today. And then he could start, yeah. Him and his main guy, I guess for lack of a better word, have the ability to do that.
Let's not sit on our hands.
So we have close to 400,000 now in our mitigation fund. I thought 399, I think. So I'm willing to say it fits the bill. It is for growth. Maybe because we're repairing existing damage, I don't know, but I'd be willing to take the risk because I think it is an emergency. But that's why we pay our attorney because
Dry run alone would declare that. So
anyway. So what, I guess trying to think of a motion that would fit this bill here is that, is the board comfortable with approving a motion for the chief to move this project forward? Kind of twofold. One, to get legal opinion, whether we have to go out to bid for it or not. Two, actually it's threefold. Can we use mitigation funds to pay for it? And then three, set a limit right now, and what I'm hearing you say is it should come in under 250,000.
Yes, that's what.
So that if any of these moving parts do or can be expedited, that we would have the ability to do that without coming back again to meet with us or call a special meeting and do it. So I would propose a motion that says that authorizes the chief to contact legal for the Station 62 upgrade, and that mitigation funds can be used to pay for it, that we manage whether or not it has to go out to bid, and that we limit it to no more than $250,000 at least as a starting point. Is everyone comfortable with that? And if they are, then I'll take a second on the motion.
Second.
And any other comments or discussion?
No, need to get moving.
Scott?
It needs to be done.
Fair enough. All right, all in favor?
Aye.
Unanimous. Does that fit all the pieces you need, Chief, to move it forward?
Thank you very much.
Thank you. I'd love to see that thing occupied. Any other unfinished business? New business.
Promise this will go quick.
Interlocal agreement for first response emergency medical services, Third Amendment. This is our EMS money. It was kind of confusing in the packet because it had the Scribner's piece in there as well as the new amount. Are they two separate issues, or it's all handled in one?
And what this is, hang on here, let me make sure that we're,
I like the way.
this is the,
This amendment number 3.
amendment number 3, which is the, the BLS reimbursement piece. We've been having trouble getting the right signature page out of the county. We believe we have it this time.
Okay.
This is the last one I'm going to drive to them. Set that on record. So this is an agreement. We've submitted all our reimbursement invoices, all the things that they need. We just need a signature page from the commissioners saying they're going to abide by the agreement that you trust me to submit the invoice that's actually already been submitted. It's typical county.
All right, so a motion to approve the interlocal agreement for first response emergency medical services, Third Amendment.
This is the final one, correct?
The final signature page.
This year.
Moved and seconded it. Any discussion? All in favor? Unanimous. We'll sign that thing and get it off to them for the last time. Temporary Battalion 76 position MOU. I know that you and Labor worked on an agreement which is different from the one that was in our.
We did, and actually I think the cleanest way to do this is for me to just withdraw this MOU from you. I gave Jenny the wrong one, and it's incorrect. We'll revisit this in January.
Okay.
Otherwise, it's going to get too confusing, and we're going to end up looking like the county.
But they're still doing it, correct?
They're doing the work. What the MOU is going to be to repay them for the work and memorialize it.
Okay.
This is just completely the wrong one that I gave her. So.
Yeah, if you just send us out the new one and we'll, I mean, it's ongoing, it's being done. This, I think last time we said it would take the legal responsibility off of just totally you and spread it to the board, which is the right thing to do, especially if it's has to do with positions and money. So, yeah, let us see it and
Okay.
we'll address it in January. Thank you for that recommendation. And then we have the meeting dates for next year, and need to discuss time change to 10. Does that work for staff? You guys are usually here anyway. And then does that work for us, specifically you, Mr. Crawford?
We pushing it. 10:30 would work just fine.
Okay, 10:30 better?
Yeah, a lot better.
All right. I know that Matt said he would appreciate anything that we could do to move it up. So is everyone okay with 10:30? Hearing and seeing no objection. And the dates, they're still the third Thursday, so there's nothing new there. So resolution 2023-16, establishing our meeting dates and the new time of 10:30. We'll move to approve that resolution. Is there a second? All in favor? It's unanimous. We'll make sure that Commissioner Riegberg sees that. Correspondence. Transport fee base rate went up for BLS.
That is linked to a previous resolution that you all signed
Right.
last year.
Yes. Commissioner salary went up, salary compensation went up higher than was originally in your first message.
Yeah, they must have done something at the commissioners conference.
I didn't, did they talk about it?
Anything on-
Mm-mm. No, I think this just comes out of the state. Yeah. Anyway, that's in there. It goes from 128 to 161. And an annual limit of 15,456. So there's your. We had the, is this the audit that I said, this was the audit report?
Yeah.
Basically, we talked about last time that we had no issues with the audit and everything was good. That's the whole report for those of you who like to read things like that.
Are we gonna have a meeting with them like we did last year?
We already did.
Not the whole board.
That was a month ago, right? We reported this at the last,
That's right.
didn't we talk about it at the last meeting?
You didn't have the report though. This was their,
We had the meeting, but we didn't report, or am I confused? All right, sorry. Yes, we met. It was in the midst of all of the other things that were going on at the time, so I apologize.
And it was just a small financial 1 year.
Yeah, it wasn't the
That they
the big
request.
one, it was
Benita
like
requested
kind
it.
of
Okay.
Benita leaving 1 year,
Yeah.
get us through December of last year. To the tune of $11,000. Okay, so Fire Commissioner Legislative Day is January 23rd. I have gone to many of those. I would be nice if either anyone of you would like to attend that. Chief, I'm assuming you're gonna try to go. It's January 23rd, down in Olympia. I will not be in town during that time frame, so
working.
What? Would you like to go to that?
Sure.
So I'll just have you coordinate with the chief and Jenny. And they can make. Did we just do that in a day or did we spend one night?
Spend the night because it starts pretty early.
Okay, so go down the night before and then,
They have
it's an
breakfast.
8 AM start.
They have a breakfast. Then you can attend.
Yes, a continental breakfast. All right, if you're interested, we'll have you coordinate with Jenny and the chief. Unless you're out traveling. In January. I won't tell Dan.
He's my partner.
January 18th, board meeting. Wake up, Dan.
I'm good.
You're good. I will be in Arizona. I will attend via Zoom or does that work for Zoom now? We got that squared away. Scott, January 18th work for you? And this will be at 10:30 now. Oh, yeah, make sure I change that. Also have a time issue.
Should be okay.
You'll be what? Ahead there.
It'll be 11:30.
No, behind. Yes, I will be ahead. We fell back here. So they're an hour ahead. All right, you good? Okay, next meeting, items for the agenda. Finished District 4 contract. We may get a report on phase 1 for 63. We may get a report on station 62. Let's see, EMS is done. We'll have the MOU for Battalion 76. Meeting schedule's done. Election, board elections. So if anyone wants to be board chair or vice chair or treasurer, whatever, and outside meeting reps. So think about that for next meeting.
Think about that.
And this
next
isn't
meeting.
one where like, if I'm not in town, you can't just automatic fill the position. And then, first of the year is typically when we do the chief's, annual eval. And so if Jenny, if you would send that out to us before the meeting so that I can get comments at the next meeting. If you would all be so kind to provide input for the chief and me, give to the chief, I would appreciate that. Anything else? Got to sign documents? Anybody else have any issues? Business for the board? Happy holidays to everyone. Thank everyone for their hard work this year. I'm excited with the Battalion 76 relief. Hopefully that's going okay. Seeing some nodding of heads.
Except that every time they ask me to cover them, we get a major incident. So I still haven't figured that one out.
Oh, you're that guy, huh? Somebody's got to be that guy. All right, anyone else? I will move to adjourn the meeting at
No, wow.
noon.
It's a record.
Oh, yeah, sorry, I'm gonna withdraw my motion to adjourn. So we had that letter from the concerned citizen on the WSRB rating. Thank you for reminding me of that. That was in correspondence. How do you want to handle that?
I'm happy to work on would you like to co-author a letter?
So, just FYI, where is that?
It's a little further back.
Oh, you guys, no, these are yours. You guys need to respond. Thank you, that's just my letter. A concerned citizen family, that lives in Custer, went to renew their homeowner's insurance, and because their WSRB rating went from a 5 to a 9, their insurance went from $965 to $2,379. And they were wondering what happened and what we did. What we did is we truly represented whether stations near them are staffed or have volunteers, and over the years we've lost more and more volunteers, and so they aren't responding stations. And WSRB is the group that gets to determine what their rating is, and it got changed. So it wasn't anything we did other than we're unable to staff it because we don't have the personnel to do it. Comments?
If you live there.
It won't help these people. It's the Haney and what were they
Delta.
between Delta and Haney? Does Delta doesn't qualify because they're not structural firefighting?
For WSRB to count a station as active, it either has to have 24-hour staff or it has to have 6 combat interior structural volunteer firefighters with a engine. And Station 68 doesn't have either. I had a lengthy conversation with an insurance agent the other day, and I believe the District 7 is bumping into this as well, as they've moved their volunteers from Station 45 to 41. And so now Engine 45 is not staffed. That if Station 45 were staffed, that would have actually covered that area for us because we have auto aid agreements with District 7. But them making that shift as well left this just giant hole in the middle of our district. And we just talked about the budget. It costs money to do all those things. And, it's the labor market if we bring on, to get six firefighters, 6 active combat, interior combat structural firefighters at that station would probably take us no less than 12 months. And we'd hire 6 and get them through training, and we'd lose 4 to 5 of them immediately to other agencies that are hiring. It's if you listen to chiefs and commissioners from the east side of the county, it's the same. It's the old school volunteer firefighter is a dying breed in America, at least in this part of America. East of the mountains might be a different story. They're more rural. We're rural suburban. We're not rural anymore. And it's, with the high cost of living, people have 2 jobs, and if both spouses are working and one's working 2 jobs and one's working 1, somebody's taking care of the kids, and they just don't have hundreds of hours a year to put into volunteer firefighting. And those that do get into it, I would encourage you to attend a District 1 meeting. Chief Carlson gets them in, they get them trained up, and they're gone. And it's just until, and I'll be frank, my other fear is if we were to figure out a magical way to staff Station 68, we're going to lose our tender group because that's their station. And we've been through enough. There's been enough stuff that's happened in North Whatcom's past, long before any of us were ever here, that we have to, if we want the tender group, we have to guard them very, very carefully. And to just stick staff in that station would be problematic. It would have to be a very thoughtfully considered way to staff that area. It's, I feel bad for these people that are, saw this increase in insurance rates. I wish there was something we could do about it quickly. It's not going to be a quick fix. There is no quick fix. The insurance agent that I spoke to did agree. He said without even me asking that he thinks there's probably a lot more nines in Whatcom County than is true, than is told. So he gave us a kudos, but he was like, sorry, but you're gonna, and he offered, he said, look, if you, now that we've had this conversation, I can have it with my customers, but I'm only one agent and there's a lot of customers out there. So I'll try to intersect the phone calls, but it's the truth.
Yeah.
I don't know any other way to put it.
So the chief and I will draft a response. It's nothing we have any control over, unless people want to super fund this, and I don't think anyone is willing to pay for another staff station. We can't even fully staff the ones we have right now, so it's just a reality we'll have to explain to them. So thank you for reminding me. You should be like the vice chair, maybe the chair since you're so. That's a good idea. All right, any other business before the board? You just didn't see I asked. Waiting until I return. All right, hearing and seeing none, it's 12:08. I'll move to adjourn the meeting. All in favor?
Aye.
All right, meeting's adjourned.
Oh, wait, but there's.
If you would